Before we go to Waco, Texas to start it off, Tosin is on the line. Tosin, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So at the end of September, I moved from Houston to Waco for a job working with a nonprofit. I was really qualified for a position, but out of nowhere, 2 weeks into the job, they terminated me without warning.
Oh my.
So because they didn't think I was a good fit. So I am wanting to move back to Houston to be with the people that I know. I love nonprofit work, but the experience left me very burned. And so I'm hoping to potentially get into either higher education or maybe more administrative focus in a nonprofit. And I just kind of need guidance and steps. I've applied to a couple positions, but really I'm looking at one specific one that just is like the bright spot among all of them.
All right, and that's in Houston where your home base is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is very clear what you need to do. You don't want to just apply. So even if you've already applied, you just kind of submitted the resume through whatever their normal system is. You want to be working overtime starting the minute you hang up with this phone call to make some personal connection to that nonprofit. So what I mean is, you think about all the people you know in Houston, and I'm not talking about just friends. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about just friends and family. I'm talking about acquaintances, people that if you saw them on the street, you'd stop and say hi, at least talk for 2 or 3 minutes. It would be a warm experience. You've got to be asking all of those people, all of the above that I just mentioned, do you know anybody that works at this nonprofit? If you don't know anybody, do you know somebody who does know somebody there? Do you see the exercise we're going through?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And say, okay, and so we want to work to find that connection. Because when we find that connection, who is willing to at least make a phone call or forward your resume on to the person that is either hiring or at least someone in that nonprofit to say, hey, I want to tell you about Tosin. She's moving back to the area. She loves nonprofit work. She'd love to work at your organization. I think she's a great lady. I think this is a great fit, and blah, 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 blah. You understand what I'm saying? Do you see the difference there instead of you just applying? So that right there, that process can happen. It takes some real diligence. But here's what happens. It's almost a guarantee that you're going to get at least a phone call interview because you're so highly recommended from a personal connection. So that's how we get to that one. And by the way, you rinse and repeat that for anything else there in Houston that you're applying for. So that's the key. Don't just submit a resume or else it's just like playing the lottery. Well, I'm going to buy 5 lottery tickets and hope they call my number. It's 1 in 873 trillion chances that I'm going to win. It's essentially the same thing. So that's what you do. And if you just keep doing that, you're going to get where you want to be. And I think it's important, though, that you learn something from this thing that just happened, because it's interesting to me that you said, I want to go more the administrative route at a nonprofit. Were you in a non-administrative role at this other place in Waco?
So it was a small nonprofit. I was in a director position, but there was a assistant director and an executive director above me. So in the prior position I worked, I was in a managerial position. So it was, I think part of it was just the newness of the nonprofit and like a level of inexperience in that.
Yeah. Were you shocked out of your mind when they told you that you weren't a good fit, or did it kind of make sense?
I was shocked. Initially, when I had interviewed, I had told them I wasn't interested, and then they were very strong in pursuing, like, no, we need the skills that you have. And I was like, okay, I love helping people. It's what I'm passionate about, that and learning.
So what went wrong? Like, okay. Do you have any idea?
Not really. I think some of it on my end, there was a lot of things that were liabilities that were being done. And so I was bringing those things up because when you work with children or youth, like if you don't follow certain rules, you get shut down. And so at the end of my first week, it was hey, you need to appreciate the work that we're doing and stop making suggestions.
Oh, well, that's exactly what it was. So now we know. And I'm really glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad I pressed you on that, because you shouldn't be discouraged that you got fired, because what happened is you brought up real things, not opinions. These weren't your opinions. These were real things that you go, hey, we're not in compliance here. Is that what you're telling me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Hey, yeah, appreciate you following the letter of the law, but we like the gray space. That's exactly what this is. So that's good news. That wasn't the right place for you. So you've been freed to go do the kind of work you want to do. So yeah, I love what you're thinking and what you're doing, and that's how you do it. That's how it works. And by the way, Madison, let's make sure that Tosin, can you email her the link to our resume guide and our how to win the interview guides at kencoleman.com. These are free for all of you. You can download them at kencoleman.com, but that'll help Tosin. There's some real practical stuff in addition to what I just told her. 844-747-2577 is the number.